Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML F1. We are here, of course, on Twitch tonight. It is Season 7, Round 8 of the Championship, as we take in the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix from the Autodromo Enzo E. Dino Ferrari here in Imola. My name is James Hay, going to be taking to the stream, as always, on a Sunday night. And joining me in the commentary box, reunited for the first time in 2 weeks, it is Mr. Pepsi Freak. Pepsi, how you doing?
Reunited, and it feels so good. I'm glad to be here again, and I think Imola should be a very interesting race, and if F2, F3, F4 are all have to go off of her standards, I think we'll be in for a good race, and hopefully the jitters of Australia have kind of settled, and I think we're on the last stretch of the season here. It's going to be put up or shut up, and if you want to win a championship, you better put it right for the next 5 weeks, I want to say. And if you do that, maybe, just maybe, you'll be hoisting a championship at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. So Australia was a bit of a weird one. Driving standards fell completely there. Hopefully around Imola it is going to be fine in terms of the racing. Of course, unlike last season, we've got just the short qualifying and the 32-lap race here. If you did get confused in terms of the track notes earlier on, that is because Tom got confused as well, and he thought sprint qualifying was actually this week. It is not. It is in Monza in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's in 3 or 4 races' time in the championship. To remind you actually of what happened coming into tonight, Tom, Grosso, Links took the top 3, and I'm going to really fly through the standings because it looks like we're getting started immediately. Jensen leading the way on 155 points, an absolute disaster. Final couple of laps there in Australia for Jensen. Tom in second, capitalised on that, closed the gap to 4 points on 151. Rudy in third on 133, Links in fourth on 131, and they're covered by 24 points. The top 4 coming into tonight. Fleddy in fifth on 90, Medici 6th on 85, Carlsbury 7th on 74, Blackbox on 8th on 67, Funky Chicken 9th on 61, Ares in 10th on 58, then it's Smalley, Zoidimer, Boswanta, Grosso and Hyper. Grosso, by the way, has had a name change. Steph, Chris G, Khan, Daniel and Chalkers ran off the top 20 drivers that have scored points this season. But going straight into qualifying, judging by what happened 2 weeks ago, obviously, Pepsi, Jensen really fell by the wayside in Australia. Absolute terrible final couple of laps for him. Tom took full advantage, 151 points, only 4 points behind, and the top 4 covered by 24 points coming into tonight. Everyone's game, I think, coming into Imola.
Yeah, it just shows sometimes the championship we decide by a couple things, and that one strategy call that Jensen made for pitting at Australia with Tom staying out, that was kind of the nail in his coffin because he got a little bit too over-aggressive, a little too hyperextended, and it caused him dearly and lost a lot of points on the way side. So, again, just shows that sometimes make a bad call, and it may cost you a championship, or at the very least a lot of points. But luckily, Jensen still leads the way, but basically his gap has now been eroded that he had at the start of the season. Now he's playing for Fates and it's going to be a very wet race here. And I just heard you sigh. I don't think the drivers are going to be a big fan of that. And I don't think we're going to get any sun anytime soon, at least looking how strong this wet weather looks.
Remember qualifying on Friday? Yes, full wet qualifying by the looks here tonight. I don't know if Rudy has set the lobby up wrong in terms of the weather conditions, but
no, it was undynamic.
Yeah, it's undynamic. But full wet conditions is not going to play to anyone's advantage, I think, around here in Imola. It is going to be one of those sessions where rain is absolutely teeming down out on track, maybe even stormy weather, actually, judging by how the rain is coming across the track. It looks like the Alpine of Noah Jones is going to be the first man, though, out on track. It's a very long pit lane, of course, here in Imola. I was watching, obviously, the race in real life around here today, and they said on commentary it was around 30 seconds, the pit stop around here. So it's about 30 seconds coming into the pit lane to going out the pit lane, and these wet conditions, it's going to be really difficult to obviously try and obviously get out in front of drivers that might necessarily be ahead. I'm not sure though what the weather is going to be looking like though going into the race. We'll get that confirmed, I'm sure, very soon. But Noah first met out on track. Can we do the Villeneuve chicane? He has been a little bit shy, I think, of his former form, to be honest. Noah, obviously an IFR man. IFR, of course, as you may have already heard, are obviously going bust, basically. They're getting rid of their F1 side after the Esports Cup event next week on Friday, and all of us here in TTML would like to thank every single IFR member. If you're past, present, or even future, you have really driven, I think, a real change in TTML and IFR, of course. The guys, I think, to watch, and quite a few of these guys, of course, are going to be changing teams in the next week or so. That means necessarily the likes of Lynx, the likes of Fleddy, who I know has joined TTG already, is going to be in brand new teams. And that could work to an advantage, possibly, as it looks like we better get started for qualifying.
Yep, it's going to open a lot of doors for a lot of drivers, and a lot of open free agents just hit the market, so it's going to be a mad scramble, and a lot of teams are going to pick up some great drivers here, and I think it's going to make them quite stronger in Cup riding, especially with F1 2022 around the corner. It's good to kind of load up, as I think Noah Jones is about to start his run here.
He is indeed on the run down in towards Tamburello, turns 2 and 3, the Tamburello chicane, of course, and then, of course, into the Villeneuve chicane at turns 5 and 6. But Noah through turn 2, through turn 3, and then to the left-hander of turn number 4. Nicely negotiated through there. The curbs can you throw you off quite a lot around here in Emilia. We saw that in qualifying for a few guys in TTML F2. Through the Villeneuve chicane at 5 and 6, that's immediately too far wide, and he's already invalidated this lap. 27.1 in the first sector, though, from Noah. Compare that to Jensen. Actually, Noah was slightly quicker through the first sector than Jensen, but Jensen is on a valid lap. He's on the run out of Tulsa corner, up the hill, in towards Piratello at turn number 9, the left-hander, and then, of course, then into the reprofiled section of Aqua Minerale. The last time, of course, we came here before, Imola came, obviously, on the calendar because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This was famously the San Marino Grand Prix, as Jensen has completely messed up Aqua Minerale, and he's also invalidated. So quite a few drivers are being caught out. Grosso is already at the session coming through Tamburello.
Yeah, he's crashed. Trying to find a car. I think Chris is closest. Yeah. Oh, that's a very similar crash, I think, to what happened to Russell a couple years ago. But I was gonna say Grosso's kind of, remember, he was strong at Spa when the wet conditions were a thing for the sprint race. So he was kind of an eye to watch out for. But now he's gonna be starting P16. And he's going to be very far in the back. Now, obviously, we don't know if the session for the race is going to be dry. And since park permit rules are on, maybe some of these drivers could be driving a bit of more of a dry setup. Because while Jensen was really struggling with the car around some corners, as Rudy will be the first driver to put down a time, a 1:24.960 for him. But a lot of drivers seem to be struggling here, and I just don't think we're going to get the strongest qualifying performance we can out of a lot of these drivers, because maybe they'll be taking a little bit conservative because we don't know what the weather brings on for the horizon.
Yeah, I quickly flicked through the rest of the drivers that were on laps. Majority of them were actually not on a lap. They were invalidated on a lot of the laps. Linkster was on one, 25.8. He goes around 700s quicker than Dara, who has joined TTG recently, so congratulations to Dara on that. But it's Rudy out on top, Link's there in second, Dara there in third. Only 5 drivers so far have actually set a lap time. Noah Jones is back out there. Carlsbury, though, is coming down in towards Ravazza. It turned 17 and 18. Don't know where that came from. On the run down in towards Ravazza, though, with Carlsbury. The Finn has been looking quite decent in recent weeks. Obviously, Australia, very good performance there. And previously, of course, in Belgium, he was very strong there as well. So Carlsbury should be up here again in terms of qualifying. Around the final corner, on the run to the line, he goes 5th, 26.2. But it's really out on top. Links in second, Dara in third. Just to address something that has been obviously said on League Racing News on Twitter, I'm not sure if you've seen this as well. Grosso apparently is Lars Kramer, who is technically banned from TTML. However, we have not got proof that it is actually Lars that is racing, so therefore we are risking that Grosso is racing here tonight, and if any proof comes out, of course, he will be kicked out as soon as we get any intel about who his real identity might be. But for now, Grosso is racing, that will be the end of that, and he's already out the session, so he's going to be starting probably right from the back of the field anyways.
Yeah, he'll be definitely starting P60. Tom, I think, starting a run here, but it was going to be a 129 for him, so definitely a slow run for him. And yeah, very odd that Noah Jones goes P2 with a 125.012. But yeah, drivers kind of getting into their feelings here, trying to get a kind of a feel for the track. I don't think we're going to see any break in the weather here anytime soon, so I think it's going to be a full wet qualifying here for the remaining 12. So get used to the conditions, and you may have to pull out a little bit of a boat here. And if you're Noah Jones, you may have to get Noah's Ark ready for these wet conditions if it gets any wetter. But yeah, everyone just kind of getting a feel. Tom, though, really struggling, has validated his next run here, and he's definitely going to have to kind of get re-gripped here and try to figure out what's going wrong in order to try to improve in his Alpha Tari at the very least.
I've got to be honest, I've never seen Imola looking so dull and dreary. It's a bit like in real life, obviously, with the rain falling down on the rays. It's a bit like in real life. The conditions are being reflected, I think, really well indeed around this track. Rudy, by the way, I think is on another lap here. He's coming around the exit of Ravazza, the second Ravazza, of course, and he is actually preparing up for another lap, so he is not on a lap here. He's about a second off his actual lap. Jensen, by the way, went third as well, 25 flat from him. Ewan there in fourth. He's actually lost his front wing, has Ewan, or left side end plate at least, on the car. So he's obviously been in the wall, I would assume, coming out either the Villeneuve chicane or out of Tamburello. So Ewan there down in fourth at the minute. Dara there in fifth. Lynx in 6th. There's not many drivers on a lap, and it's one of these sessions where it's going by very slowly indeed, but a lot of drivers are actually invalid. Fleddy, though, isn't, as he very nearly gets sideways at the final corner. On the run to the line goes Fleddy, 27.2. He can go a lot quicker than that lap time. Tom is also on a lap. He's coming through the Villeneuve chicane.
Yeah, he is just, you can see a lot of drivers, Jens himself, a few of the drivers, they are pushing to try to find as much time as they can, but something in the rain is you can kind of push it hard and try to get as much time as you get, but at the same time, you may go a little bit too hard and may end up spinning the car around, so there's a risk-reward. You want to be on the cutting edge of what the tires can bring you in the wet conditions, but if you go a little bit too hard, you may end up the wrong way around and may end up costing yourself some time at the very least. So it's kind of a risk-reward situation, and if you're someone like Flatty, who's P13, he's obviously going to want to get re-rolled up to try to get a little bit higher. But, yes, being currently 4th in the championship, he needs kind of a strong qualifying at the very least. Do have yellow flag in Sector 1 and 2. I think it is something with the Ferrari going a bit slow. It may be Chalkers, it may be Shredder. It looks like Shredder's a little bit slow off corner exit, so it looks like something happened to him. But, yeah, it's a risk-reward situation here in these conditions, and how hard are you going to push to try to get up through the grid here?
I think we've just got a random yellow flag, to be honest. We've got yellow flags in Sector 1, 2, and 3, apparently. Tom, however, has looked quick on this run. On the run to the line, he's going to get a bad lap time in, and he goes 6th, 25.6. Majority drivers, though, apart from Chris, who's obviously came back into the pit lane, the majority drivers setting multiple laps on the set of wets, and that's what you like to see, because obviously the track may evolve towards the end of the session here, and we might get maybe into running if the rain does ease off heavily enough, but I mean, we're halfway through qualifying now. There's no sign of the rain actually easing out on the track, so therefore it is going to be a very quick dry-up if it is going to turn inters before the end of the session. But it's Rudy out on top, Noah in second, Jensen in third. Rudy actually is on another lap. Schender is the one that has left the session, so that might account for why we actually saw the yellow flags out on track as well. But Rudy's coming through Aqua Minerale, on the run-up in towards Variante Alta, a bit sideways there, coming out of Aqua Minerale, but through the middle sector, he's still a 10th down. But the final sector, I think, will be his real strong point. Absolutely flies it through the Variante Alta. Now on the run down, of course, in towards Ravazza. Very slow exit actually out of Variante Alta. There's an Aston Martin round in the middle sector, and that I think might be Dara, who has just gone onto a lap. So Dara is not on a lap at the minute. Rudy, though, coming through the final corner, coming through Ravazza, might be coming back into pit lane here. Yeah. Really coming back into the pits, and that car that was round coming through the first sector was in fact the other Aston Martin of Steph.
It was Steph wrong way around. A lot of drivers now coming in here. Top 4 all in the pit lane. Doug Smith is on a bit of a cool run, I believe. Tom also coming in as well. I guess one thing worth noting to see these drivers going. I think something. Actually, I'll just let you know. Did you see something worth noting first? Because
yeah. Chris, fastest first sector, I think, out of everyone. Actually looking through the middle sector. Ignore 58.7, nowhere near in the middle sector.
Alright, so back to my point. A lot of these drivers are getting the most out of their wet tires here. Some on 4 laps, Dragon on a 5th lap of tires here. So these drivers are really using their wets, and that kind of shows me that if the conditions were going to be wet during the main race, or at the very least strong wets, it would be a situation where they wouldn't be trying to get as much life out of these tires. So it's a situation where I think that maybe it bodes well that it's not going to be as wet for the race, not tomorrow, but later in the hour, that it could be a little bit drier for points. So something else to keep an eye on here at the very least. But we do see the top 4 all switching out, so they'll be going out at least one more time to try to get advantage of these changing track conditions. But right now, I think Carlsby just crossed the line. I didn't see much improvement for him. Chalkers is coming through, is currently at the end of the first sector. And Smith is really struggling to keep the car planted, and he's about half a second down his time in Sector 1, and now a second down in Sector 2. So, only drivers on track don't look like they've really shown any improvement times right now worth noting.
Looked like he did sort of like a Latifi line coming through. Obviously, he ran over the sausage curbs, Latifi, in real life last year when we came here in Emilia in real life. Dara did exactly the same, and it was a sort of like overcorrection, but obviously Latifi just went off into Mazepin on the right-hand side. Looked like there was no other car around him there. Dara, though, is not on a lap here, but he is going to set up on another one. I think Schender is back in the session, by the way. Carlsbury, though, 3 tenths up through the first sector. Now coming through Aqua Minerale, coming through turns 10, 11, 12, and then up the hill, of course, in towards 13 and 14 at Variante Alta. And this has not looked a bad lap from Carlsbury. 56.7 in the middle sector. Where's this lap time coming from Carlsbury? And if he improves 4 or 5 tenths of a second here, he is going to be possibly going quickest ahead of everyone else in this session. The Finn is flying. These are his conditions. Coming through the final couple of corners in towards the Ravatas of 17 and then through the left-hander of 18 at Ravata 2. But Rudy out on top. Maybe not for long, because Carlsbury now on the run to the line could even go quickest here, and he just falls short, but he goes second, 25 flat. That was his 6th lap on a set of wet compounded tyres. In fact, no, I'll correct myself. That's his 7th lap on a set of wet compounded tyres, because remember, the outlap doesn't get counted. Carlsbury, though, second. And it seems to me, majority of drivers that are running on more worn wets are actually getting those tyres up to temperature. And it's taken a good few laps for them to get up to temperature. And Carlsbury actually just went wide into the gravel, coming through the Villeneuve chicane. Until that point, he was still a 10th down as a result.
Yeah, they may be a little bit too worn at the very least, but Rudy just started to run here, so Rudy's still our pole man for now. Definitely going to be something to keep an eye on here if he may take an extra couple laps to really get fired up. And if that is the case, it may be worth noting if you're Noah Jones, Jensen, who's on that lap, and Ewan are top 5, you may want to head out now and put an extra couple laps, because the lap run is at minute 25. You need 2 to 3 laps to get kind of warmed up. You may want to take advantage of that and really get rummed up. But if you're someone that's kind of in the pit lane right now or coming in, it may be a little bit harder for you to improve. I think Rudy just avowed yes he did coming through sector 1, so he's gonna have to go around again, but at least he's still pole position. One other thing worth noting though is maybe Matt TC is playing a little bit of mind games, but right now he's sitting in the pit lane on a set of intermediate tires, and Steph as well switched to intermediates as well, so they may try something a little bit crazy here. I don't think it's gonna work, but you never know. Someone may try something a little bit off the wall here and see if they can make something happen.
We'll see into before the end of the session, because I've noticed on Rudy, just right on board with that lap, coming onto that lap, the rain was getting a lot lighter out on track, and it definitely looks it from the camera angles. We're right on board here with Rudy, coming through the Variante Alto. Obviously, he's invalidated. The Alfa Romeo was round, I think that's Ewan round coming through. No, actually, Ewan's just coming through behind him. It's Daniel that is round coming through the Villeneuve chicane, and Ewan's just invalidated as a result.
Going to try it. Sorry to cut you off. Just want to say Steph is going to try it on the intermediate tires, so he'll be the guinea pig here. It could be a pole run for Steph, or it could be the mistake that cost him everything. But we see a couple other drivers as well, including Noah Jones, Tom, and Darga Smith as well. So I think they're all kind of waiting on bated breath here for Steph to be a bit of the guinea pig here to see what he may do on those tires.
Choker's looking good in the middle sector, though. 57.1 in the middle sector, so he's there or thereabouts in terms of where Lynx, Darragh would be. And then actually, in terms of Darragh and Lynx's lap time, they're only separated by 1,000th of a second. Yes, it's wet qualifying, but only separated by 1,000th of a second. You've got 2nd to 4th covered by barely 200th of a second. Carlsbury down to Jensen. Really close qualifying here in Imola despite these conditions. Choker's around the final quarter, on the run to the line, and he goes 5th. That's a really good lap time, but it's 8 laps on a set of wet. Never seen anything like that before, I don't think. But Chalker's there in 5th. Ewan there in 6th at the minute. Lynx was on a lap. He's invalidated. Fleddy is on one. Coming through the middle sector. See what his time is. Oh, 56.7 in the middle sector. I think it's slightly quicker than Carlsbury's time in the middle sector as well. So Fleddy, much quicker compared to Carlsbury coming out of Variante Alta. On the run down in towards the Raptors. Really out on top. Carlsbury second, Noah in third. And the rain looks like it's just picked up in terms of the intensity as we now come through the left-hander of Ravata 1 and then through the left-hander of turn 18 at Ravata 2. And Fleddy is going to put himself well in the mix here. I think he could go second with this. Fleddy on the run to the line. Just goes shy, goes 5th. Good lap though, 25.1. Really out on top. Carlsbury second, Noah in third. Steph though is on that lap on the set of Inters, as is Chris, as is MedTC. Shender looks like he's coming back into the pit lane for set of Inters as well.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Steph right now. He's about to start his run here with 2 minutes to go. If you're out there on the wets, you're not going to have enough time to switch on intermediate tires. So Rudy, Fleddy, Chalkers, and a few other drivers have kind of made their bed. So half the field on intermediates, half the field on wets. We'll see if it's maybe worked out for them in their favor, because it could be a pole run, because 2, 3, 4, Carlsbury, Jones, and Jensen are all on intermediate tires. So here comes Steph. He's coming through the corners right now, going through 5 and 6. We'll see where the end of Sector 1 is. He needs to be around the 29 bracket to have a somewhat competitive time here. And the car looks pretty planted. Yeah, that's a 26.847, 4/10 up for the first sector. That's not as much of improvement per se around the rest of the field, but it is worth noting at the very least. So I think right now you can't, if you're in the pits right now, you're stuck on your tires. So if you're out there on intermediate tires, this may be the run for a pole position between the intermediate runners. And Rudy, Fleddy, Chalkers, Lynx, and Daniel may have shot themselves in the foot a little bit here by staying on the wets a little bit too long.
Steph coming through the middle sector is going to be quickest out of everyone again. 56 flat. He's 1.4 seconds up. It's clearly Inter's now out on track. So anyone on a set of wets, you are completely and utterly done for. But Steph is at a big disadvantage because he's the first man out on track on Inter's. Necessarily the final man, whoever that might be, out on track on a set of Inter's. As Rudy now goes quickest, but not for long because Steph is on an absolute fly of a lap here. Coming through a Vector 2. Just gets a bit sideways, but it's going to be a 23, I think, from Steph on the run to the line. And there you go. Steph 23.9, he goes quickest ahead of Rudy, and Rudy's clearly feeling that he hasn't got the tyres. Carlsbury, however, though, is fastest out of everyone, it seems, in the first sector. 26.6 through the first sector from Carlsbury. Other drivers on the lap. Noah Jones is on the run down in towards Vavata, currently in fourth, and he should be, I think, going quickest here. There's a Ferrari ran through Tamburello. Is that Chalkers? No, it's not. It's Shendu's crashed through Tamburello.
Yeah, it's going to be Shendu. Chris goes second, though. P2. Carlos be on the run. Noah Jones cross the line. He'll be at 1:22.760. Jensen hasn't validated, so he's going to have to go around one more time, but I don't think he's going to have enough time.
And look at Carlsbury in the middle sector. Tom has gone quickest, but I think Carlsbury's going quicker than everyone else out on track because he's significantly quicker than Noah in the middle sector. Carlsbury must be about 6/10 up, I think, on Noah in the middle sector. So now, can the Finn possibly go out on top here? The Finn now comes through turn 17, through turn 18. This could be Carlsbury's crowning moment. He's been knocking on the door for pole position. Is this his time? Is this his place? He comes to the line. No, he goes third. Unfortunate. Dara is up on another lap on a set of Inters by a tenth of a second, 26.2 in the first sector. Steph is improving by 5/10, so Steph's not entirely out of this either. If you can find a really special final sector, the rain is completely eased off now. Out on track as Lynx has retired into the pit lane, I think. Steph, though, on the run to the line. Could he try and put it up there? No, he goes fourth, 23 flat in the Edmund. TC is on the lap. Chris is on the lap as well, but he's invalidated. Jensen, 26.3 in the first sector, is looking quite quick. However, he's just messed up Aqua Minerali slightly, went too deep in there, but he's still up in this middle sector. 55.1. This is going to be tense for the final few laps. Noah is coming around the final corner. He's 4/10 up on his lap, so Noah potentially going to be going quicker. What is Tom doing though in behind? Noah to the line, 22.2. Tom perhaps could go even quicker. He's got Ewan in front of him as well to give him a bit of a slipstream. Dara goes second. Tom might just go second with this as well. No, he goes quickest, 22.2, and it's only MedTC and Jensen that can actually make an influence. Jensen out to the line, doesn't even improve. I think he did improve. I'm not sure to what position. I think it's P5 on the steering wheel. P5 for Jensen. What a hectic end to that qualifying session. And on his final lap, Tom just about comes out on top from Noah in second, Dara in third, Ewan in fourth, Jensen in fifth, Carlsbury in sixth, Steph in seventh, MedTC in eighth, Chris in ninth, all on a set of Inters. And then you've got the guys on the set of wets: Rudy, Fleddy, Chalkers, Lynx, Daniel, Shender, and Grosso obviously early out the session. Shender obviously early out the session as well, but everyone else risked it for wets. They didn't pull off. Tom is out on top, Noah second, Darren third, and Tom out on top, Jensen in fifth. Big swing in terms of the championship early on.
Yeah, Tom. Now we're on the home stretch here. Tom just shot a shot right in front of the bow of Jensen there, and Tom set the message that, hey, I'm not gonna bend over backwards for you. This is gonna be a fight to the end, and Jensen's gonna have to kind of step it up here. We're struggling a little bit in the wet conditions, but if it does dry out, he may be someone to keep an eye out for. But Rudy, also a bit of a kick in the teeth moment because he was P1 with about 2 minutes to go and ended up being P10 now, far away from where he was originally for most of the session. So it just shows session could just change in a second, and if you're not on it, you may end up starting farther back than you wish, as we'll see what the weather is, and it's a nice sunny day. And yeah, I kind of had that hunt when we saw them kind of switching off tires there quickly and putting a lot of laps on them. It was going to be a dry session. I don't think we're going to get any. Well, it does look a little dark in the back, but I don't think it's going to be enough that it's going to be much of a threat. It's going to be a nice sunny day, and the drivers are going to be just kind of taking it to the limit here and fighting for what they can find.
Ewan saying in the chat in Discord, how the F is he P4? I know, he did zero practice and he's ended up in P4, so well done to Ewan. He totally forgot that there was a race at 7 o'clock as well. So Ewan there in fourth, really good qualifying from him. Tom with the Sue comment there in the Discord as well, and he's obviously out on top by only 0.05 of a second, but what tyres is everyone now going to be starting this race on? I have a feeling it's going to be majority of the field on a set of medium compound tyres. You can tell that by the yellow wall tyres that you can see, and in fact I think the whole field is on a set of mediums. They are indeed. The whole field on a a set of medium compound tyres, should be going middle of the road. Tyre wear not necessarily quite high around here at Imola either. So, in my calculations, everyone, if it's going to be a dry race, and if they're obviously going to stay out on track and there's no safety cars or ESCs, drivers will probably get to around lap 18, come in for a set of soft compound tyres and last around 12, 13 laps towards the end of the race. But it's Tom out on top, Noah alongside him. Tom's pressure, I think, is pretty much off at the start, because he normally gets really good start, especially in the second phase. Noah there hasn't been on the front row of the grid, I think, all season, and he's in there second, so Tom surely has got the advantage, you would think, off the line.
Yeah, I think this, because I've always said, and I don't like to keep ragging on Noah about this, but he doesn't seem like he's got the best race etiquette compared to his qualifying etiquette. He seems more like a one-lap driver than he does see a consistent driver, because he's kind of been meh for the rest of the season so far. So, and then Dragon Smith and Ewan, 2 question marks there as well. So I think Tom has got a little bit of less pressure here at the very least in comparison to the rest. But one other thing worth noting is that someone like maybe Carlsby, Staff, maybe Metzi, I'm shocked they haven't tried maybe a set of softs, maybe try a different strategy at the very least. I know mediums is probably the conventional way to go, but you think someone maybe, instead of following the leader, maybe tries maybe a different strategy and see if they can maybe gain something out of it. And because if you're maybe 8th, 9th, 10th, what do you got to lose being this far back? Everyone's been in the mediums. Why not try something a bit different and see if you can maybe get a little bit higher up the grid and be on the attack early on?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think. Obviously, as I say, if there's no VSCs or safety cars, it should be flat out 32 laps right the way to the checkered flag. Tom normally handles himself quite well under pressure as well. So, can he turn the advantage over compared to Jensen? We have to find out. Pepsi, though, quickly, who's your top 3?
Let's go Tom, Jensen, Carlsby.
To be honest, I was going to go for the same 3 as well. Yeah, I'll agree. Tom, I think Rudy, though, might get 3rd. I think Rudy from 10th. Watch out for him in this race. The 500 lights are immediately coming on here. It's round 8 of the championship here in TTML F1. And it is lights on the move going. Tom has absolutely burst off the start. And he's already 3-4 tenths clear on the run down towards turn 1. And the Williams, actually, of Chris was on the grass there, passing Steph on the inside line through turn number 1. But now down towards Tamburello. Tom leads the way. Noah in 2nd. 3rd is Dara. Ewan in 4th. Jensen actually muscles around the outside, and Noah has actually got a really good run on Tom into the Villeneuve chicane. So Tom has clearly made a mistake. Noah on the outside line tries to get the switch back through the Villeneuve chicane, doesn't get the move done, and Tom holds on for the lead. Noah in 2nd, Dara in 3rd, Haas of Carlsby trying to dive it down the inside of Ewan. In the background coming through Tulsa corner, Jensen is side by side with Dara, and he's going to get the run up toward Piratella. Lovely move by Jensen, getting the ERS out, and he's thrown he's into 3rd early. Rudy is going side by side with Stefan. Did say watch out for him, he's going side by side now in towards Aqua Minerale. I think Chalkers and Daniel maybe had a little collision further down the field. They're down in 15th and 16th now, but Tom leads the way, and after a really good start, he looked like he messed up the Tamburello chicane completely. Noah there in 2nd, Jensen in 3rd, not settling down. Necessarily out of the top 3, Jensen, I think, has got the strongest start.
Yeah, everyone's kind of fighting it out here, but yeah, Jensen did get a little bit of a strong start there, up to P3 already at the very least, but Tom didn't have to do too much per se. He was kind of just put his car in the right spot, and he can now kind of set sail and try to get away, but he's going to have a lot of hound dogs behind him fight him for that P1 as now Tom sets fast left the race. We'll see if that holds. Obviously it will not, but we'll see if anyone else can try to best it further back, just seeing, but everyone's kind of been a bit of a train here. We do got Grosso and Schrenby fighting here, and it looks like Grosso going to try to get around to Ferrari, and yes he will. So one Italian team passes the other, as now Grosso's up to 13th. But yeah, it looks like, ooh, Rudy going to get a good run on Steph here. Going to try to stick it up the inside here. Going to try to make a little bit of an aggressive pass here, but not going to be able to hang it. Ooh, still going to have the outside there. Gets a little bit pinched by Steph. A little bit of a argy-bargy moment, but he's going to take the insider. Metzi going to try to take it on Chris. And Steph, can he get the switchback? No, he'll get out-dragged here. So put Rudy in the 7th, Steph in the 8th, Chris in the 9th, and Metzi in the 10th for right now at the very least.
Rudy's very lucky to get around the outside of Steph there. That could have easily ended them both up in the gravel. Steph took too much curb on the inside line, forced Rudy basically off track. No malice in that whatsoever, just a pure mistake by Steph. And now Chris is all over the back from the German. Fleddy is going side by side with Metzi in towards the Variante Alta section at the top of the hill. But Metzi in 10th, Fleddy in 11th, they remain as they are. Daniel and Chalks, I did say they had a collision, and they have had a collision. They're in 15th and 16th, and they're both in the pit lane at the end of lap 1. But Tom leads the way. No one in second, Jensen in third, and Tom currently holding like he's got a really good gap out in front. Noah there in second, Jensen in third. Rudy, by the way, was 1.1 seconds coming onto the lap with Steph in behind. He's closed that gap to 4 tenths. Rudy's looking insanely quick early on, and Dara on the back of Jensen could perhaps go for the move, but I think everyone's just going to sit tight and wait. Through the Tamburello chicane, Tom leads the way, Noah in second, Jensen third, Dara fourth, Ewan, Colsbury, Rudy, Steph, Chris, and Metty C. Round off the top 10, there's a yellow flag, and that, I think, is Shender round. Yeah, it is Shender coming through Tamburello, and he's retired, and I think that might be a retirement out on track as opposed to a crash out on track. It is. But his AI, luckily, has stopped right where he actually parked it, which is good, and that means, obviously, green flag racing will probably happen soon, and that means everyone can get back up to full racing speed. But Shender out, Cora's already gone, no VSC or safety car, and that's what we like to see. But retirement out on track, disappointing. I understand that. No one makes a mistake. No one makes a mistake through Aquamanarali, and he's going to get eaten up there by Jensen. Through into the second position he goes. Jensen through to second. I think Metty C and Chris were having a fight coming through Aquamanarali as well. Metty C's through on Chris. He's through and he's into 9. But Tom leads the way. Jensen second. Noah in third. Really hectic lap that. But Shender out the race. Tom now in the lead. Jensen second. Battle for the lead, and the battle for the championship perhaps is on.
Yep, Jensen pressed X to intimidate Noah Jones there, and Noah Jones kind of felt the pressure, and he got kind of a little bit too squirrely. Now Jensen's like, all right, I see you, Tom. Let's have a little bit of a duel in the Emilia here. He's going to get a good toe off Tom here. Really trying to make a move in the corner one. Yeah, he's going to hang around the outside here, and he's going to make a move on Tom. So put Jensen up to first. He just dogged Tom there, and now Tom is down to second, and now Tom's going to have to regroup here. But we saw this from Saudi Arabia. We saw this multiple of the circuits. They changed the lead multiple times here, so I don't think Jensen's going to get too comfortable in the lead at the very least. Tom's definitely going to answer back when he's got an opportunity to do so.
Chris,
other than that, though, we do... Oh, Chris. Yeah, Chris and Fletty fighting here. So I'll take it.
Lynx, I'll tell you
Chris
what.
And Fletty...
Lynx is going to get them both. Lynx gets a phenomenal run out of Tulsa, up the hill and towards Piratella, and Lynx eats up 2 positions if he's just had them for breakfast. Beautiful move by Lynx. Got the switch back out of Tulsa, and he's through. He's into 10. Sorry to cut you off, as Grosso now is going side by side in towards Aquamanarali. Tries to pull off the move. And how on earth has he done that? Pulls it off.
I was going to say, he did pinch Chris a little bit there, but it was probably within clean racing, per se. But did kind of close the door at the very least. But yeah, Grosso, the Italian favorite, is currently in 12th. Kind of wondering what's going wrong here. I guess Shender has not left the game yet, had something to say in the chat. But now question is, Tom, can he get a good toe on Jensen here, make a move similar to what happened in the last lap here? Yeah, it's probably going to happen here. Tom going to get a good toe, using all he's got here. No ERS, though, inside. Jensen not even going to really fight it. And Tom going to make the move successfully, so put Tom back up to first. Jensen back down to second. Fletty and Lynx fighting here as well. Hopefully they don't take each other out, because there goes Grosso on the back of Lynx, and Lynx loses 2 for 1.
Grosso through it, he's into 11th. Lovely move. Chris is right on the back of this as well. Lynx gets a really good run, and there's contact. Oh my god!
He's flipped!
Grosso flips, Lynx on the wall, VSC has to come out for that. I'm not surprised if it's going to be a full safety car. And it is a full safety car. It had to be. It had to be. Grosso is in the wall. They both just got intertwined, I think, on each other. Grosso took too much curb on the inside line, forced him off. And Lynx, obviously, with no front wing now in the wall as well. I've never seen, though, a car flip like that in any league race here on F1 2021 in my life. Tom leads the way, Jensen second, Noah in third. Grosso will be very annoyed, I've got to say. But what wrong can you do? Because Lynx had a really good run out of Tamburello. They just got interlocked on wheels, both of them in the wall. One maybe to blame than the other. Stewards are bound to have a look at it, though. I had a really bad camera angle, but to me, it looks like Grosso got caught in the curb. They interlocked on wheels, and they both got sent into the wall.
I was on board with Grosso there, and it looked like Grosso kind of had to run by Lynx. He tried to kind of block the door off a little bit there. They touched wheels, and like you said, they kind of interlocked, and they both went off into the wall. So maybe you could say Lynx is a little over-aggressive. Deuce Carlby's pitting here, kind of a bit early at the very least. We'll see what he decides to do. Probably for a set of hards, unless he goes for the softs and maybe tries to take advantage of something here. Yeah, 2-stop. We'll see here. Yep, that's going to be a set of Red Wool, so he's going to be on a set of softs here. But also Lynx coming in as well, but obviously that's probably to fix his broken front wing. But yeah, Lynx kind of... One other thing worth noting at the very least, though, is that with Lynx staying in this race, it does keep McLaren afloat. Remember, they're only 20 points behind Red Bull and the Constructors, and they're probably going to want both cars still here. So maybe Gross is not too thrilled, but Lynx is kind of thanking his lucky stars that he maybe used one of his 9 lives, but he's still in the race at the very least. So Lynx at least thanking something on those stars. But yeah, under safety car here. Carlsby and Lynx, the only 2 drivers decided to pit. Everyone else staying out.
I don't know what that might have been like from Gros's perspective, but I can imagine, basically, imagine a car flipping all the way over. I've never seen that really in Formula 1. On this game, the physics, the damage model and everything, it just needs work compared to obviously what's going to be on F1 2022. But I've never seen, in any commentary I've did on this game, I've never seen a car flip like that. Do a full 360 roll and then land pretty much on its rear wing and then come flat back down on the floor. Never seen that in my life at all. As Grosser left the session, not really surprised. Tom now leading the way, Jensen second, no one third. What this does do, though, Pepsi, is bring Daniel and Chalkers back into play. Daniel has gained a position because he obviously hasn't came into the pit lane. Lynx has. Lynx now in 13. Chalkers there in 14. Chalkers, I think, has came back into the pit lane. But it brings them back into play and it gives everyone an even playing field. But the man we've got to watch out for, I think, is Carlsbury. On that set of softs, down there in 11th. Clearly going to be quicker than everyone else. But just how quick will he be in a DRS train?
I do want one thing before I answer your question there about the crash one more time. It kind of reminded me of Kubica's 08 crash where he hit the wall and the thing flipped. So a bit of a kind of maybe a misremember Kubica's crash, but it was kind of actually a little bit impressive there on the physics. But now to answer your question on Carlsby at the very least, he's going to be struggling a little bit. He's going to have those softs. He's going to be having that short-term advantage here, and he's got some pace in that Haas car. But the problem is he's going to have to try to carve his way through the field here. And other than the long straight going into 1, 2, and 3 respectively, where else can he really make multiple passing? Because we saw up the top there, once Tom got past Jensen or Jensen got Tom, he just stayed behind for the rest of the lap. He'll have the fresher tires, but if he's got nowhere to go, he's going to be burning them off in dirty air. So I don't hate the call, but the problem is he's going to have to try to carve through the field kind of quickly, and he may have to be a little bit too aggressive to try to make something happen. And yeah, that dirty air is really going to play himself some fault. So he's going to kind of hope that we know that Tom Jensen and the rest of the mediums probably going to pit around lap 12 when things happened before, but obviously the safety car's staying out a little extra longer. They may be coming in around lap 15, 16 respectively, maybe a little less. So yeah, I worry that by the time he gets some clear track, those tires are going to definitely be shot, and I don't know how much room he's going to make up.
Yeah, I mean, down on 11th, you would think he is going to be the quickest man out on track, but the DRS train is so potent around here. Obviously, when, because Cosby's there in 11th, he's going to be the 11th car, basically, in the train. Therefore, his opportunities are limited compared to what it would be the likes of Jensen, the likes of Noah, the likes of Dara, toward the top end of the field. They've got more to aim at. Cosby, yes, he has got more to aim at, but necessarily he is going to be, as the safety car is going to come in this lap, Cosby is necessarily going to be caught up in that DRS trend. But we'll have to wait and see. Your questions will be answered very soon. But Tom out on top is now the virtual Bert Barlander. He's now the virtual safety car. Jensen there in second is just going to have to tuck right underneath the rear wing. Tom normally nails his safety car restarts. We saw in Australia how he managed that, and in Belgium as well. Jensen there in second, as Ewan has had a collision with Dara, I think that is, and I believe Chris has also picked up a penalty, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's only got 3 seconds.
Earlier. That was earlier.
Yeah, that was earlier, but Chris picked up 3 seconds anyways. But look at Tom, absolutely blisters off the line, 8 tenths of a second, 9 tenths of a second coming to the line, and Tom now leads the way. Ewan is into the pit lane, clearly now into the pit lane, obviously for damage, I think, on the car, and now Steph is going to go side by side with the result on the back of Rudy, 5th and 6th position. Anybody going to try and get the moves further down the field? I think Lynx could go side by side on the back of Daniel, but he's not quite close enough in towards Tamburello. Could get the switchback though out of his. Chris makes a really bad mistake, and Cosby sweeps that position up into 9th. So Cosby Thuney's into 9th. Chris making a mistake into 10th. He's overhooked those rear end on those mediums really much, and Chris now, the German, down in 10th. Daniel in 11th, Lynx there in 12th, but it's Tom that leads the way, Jensen in second, and Tom absolutely nailed that start and has pulled away from Jensen. That's exactly what he needed to do, and it looks like the front two are pulling away already.
Yep, they're pulling away right now. We know No Jones is no spring chicken. He'll try to fight back as now Lynx gets around Daniel for 11th. Oh yeah, Cunt is on. Carlsby's going to have to use those softs to try to carve up, but yeah, Jensen definitely getting towed back in already here. The gap is closed down, so Tom ran away, but Jensen is closed back up, and we'll see when DRS reactivates. I think Daniels may have made a slight mistake. He's got passed by at least one car at the very least, or maybe it was a double move, as I think Link got around Chris and Chalk got around Daniels here. They all fight pretty far in the back, but Chris, bit of a screen door at the very least, and he's kind of getting attacked by all runners here, and hopefully can kind of stopgap that and get back in pack. But yeah, Carlsby is reducing Steph, kind of get a little square off X there, could open door for MedTC on a run.
Could do. Cosby, I think, is going to be maybe side by side with Fleddy down in towards Tamburello. He's closing in. Fleddy pulls the right-hand side and says, you know what, you can come through. The the McLaren, I should say, goes backwards. The Haas is now through. Carlsberry through, and he's into 8th position. And who said you couldn't overtake around Imola? Because Carlsberry is making real right work of these guys. Yes, he's had a bit of trouble, obviously, with Chris and Lynx making mistakes. Lynx there in 10th. But Chris dropping down the field, his tyres are overshot completely, and look at Chalkers just sending it down the inside line. Chris has got absolutely zero pace on those tyres, and now Daniel's going to have him run over towards Piratella as Ewan has retired into the pit lane. Daniel up the inside line in towards Piratella. Oh, just gets caught on the curb and gets caught on the right wing of Chris there, and Lynx has got the move done on Fleddy. I think that was a let through there for Lynx. He's through, he's into 9, but Chris holding on for 12. Don't think he'll hang on for that long though, because Daniel's right on the back of him.
Yeah, he's on the back of him indeed. I don't think it'll be too long now for Daniel to move fresh tires. Oh, Chris is really struggling there. Daniel has nowhere to go, though, because kind of the accident didn't get a good run off. Lynx on the back of Carlsby at the very least. So a bit of a train flowing up at the top here between 7th, 8th, and 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, respectively. Could get a little bit feisty, but I think Daniel's definitely going to make a move here on Chris here, because DRS is obviously going to make that happen here. But we'll see if Carlsby can make a lunge on MedTC as well. So we'll see as he comes down the long straight into 1. Daniel going to make the move on Chris. Can Carlsby make it on MedTC? He's going to have the inside line. How aggressive would he on the brakes?
Surely.
Nah, I'd love it too far back.
Switchback.
Oh, but he's going to go for the switchback. And he's going to try to hang around the outside. Oh, they wheel the side pod. MedTC not going to go away quietly into the night. And MedTC is going to hold spot, at least for now. Question is, how aggressive will Carlsby be to try to make the move on MedTC? As he's going to try to take the inside here, and he's going to try to shove him a little bit wide into the rumble strips, and it looks like Carlsby will take 7th, and Link's going to fall through as well, so MedTC going to fall down to 9th.
That was really intuitive driving there by Carlsby, I've got to be honest. He just forced, MedTC basically forced out wide, coming through the Tamburello chicane, and then Carlsby did exactly the same thing through Tulsa. Lovely move that by Carlsby. Had the gap, and now Lynx is possibly going to go on the outside line up in towards Aqua Minerale. There's another yellow flag out on track. It's Daniel round coming through Aqua Minerale. So Daniel round, and he's left the session, which is disappointing. Tom leads the way. Jensen in 2nd, Noah in 3rd. Top 3 are trying to pull away from Dara, but Dara, to be honest, is keeping up. Rudy keeping up as well, and they're all pulling away from Steph there in 6th. But Carlsby and Lynx is going to be the more immediate battle. Lynx should get this move done very easily indeed. Down the straight, MedTC perhaps could try and follow through as well. But Lynx pulls alongside, gets the job done, and yeah, Rudy's going side by side with Dara in towards turn 1. A Tamburello. Dara just tries to hold it off. How on earth he tried to hold that off, I do not know. We should have just given up the position. And now look at his teammate, because Steph is right on the back of him. Rudy through, and he's into 4th. Nothing in that at all for me. Dara tried to hang around the outside, and he should have just backed off. Simple as.
Yeah, sometimes it's not worth fighting. You got to try to live the fight another day. Now Chalker's going to get on Fleddy. Fleddy kind of struggling the same problem with Chris as well, and got past. So those medium tires seem to be kind of cliffing a little bit here. Oh, he made a mistake. Okay, it wasn't was not a cliff problem there at the very least. So yeah, Fleddy made a slight mistake there, but it does show he's maybe struggling a little bit on those tires at the very least. Daniel, obviously AI pitting, is going to shoot him back out on track for some reason. But other than that, though, we got Lynx trying to reel back in Steph. He's already on the back of him, and he's towed Carlsby with him. And those two are going to try to at least maybe make a move here on the 2 Aston Martins at the very least. They're going to wait for the long straight at the very least, but going back up to the front here, Tom still holding station on Jensen. It makes you wonder, is Jensen maybe just kind of playing cat and mouse here and playing the long game and just kind of staying behind, knowing that he doesn't have to force any issues? Oh,
I don't think... Yep, Lynx is going to get the run on Steph. I was going to ride on board with Jensen saying he's going to get the move in towards turn 2, but I don't think he will. Lynx is actually going to try and pull out the slipstream once again. He's turned the negative into a positive, but that's why, because Davos really slow in front, and the Aston Martin, leading like a boss at Steph. How on earth? He's got around the outside there, I do not know. He's through, he's into 5th. Really good move. Lynx got completely caught out there by the Aston Martins into a box effect, and now Lynx has to try and back off, and Lynx is not getting involved in this battle at all. He just wants to basically keep on going in this race. He is looking very quick, I've got to say, Lynx, but he just has to wait for his moves, and that's exactly what he's doing. In towards Piratella, this should be the move on Dara. Really good run out of Tulsa. In towards Piratella, should be job done on the inside. Beautiful on the brakes. Lynx is through, and he's into 6th, and Lynx, who has been scoring consistent results in recent weeks, obviously picked up a podium 2 weeks ago in Australia as well. Lynx there in 6th, doing a phenomenal job, and it looks like he's coming alive all of a sudden this part of the season, as Steph has got a really poor run out of Aqua Minerale, and there's another position for him. He's on the side of softs, he's into 5th. I thought Carlsby was the one to watch out for. It's Lynx, because he's absolutely flying through the field.
Yeah, again, he used one of his 9 lives there to survive the Crash of Grosso, and he's taking full advantage of his second opportunity here. Second chance of life, they would say. He's already out the 5th. And like you said, this whole he's on the home stretch here, and this is the put up or shut up part of the season.
Hey,
you
Jensen.
want to be a champion, you got to be strongest. We'll cut back to Jensen there. He's going to make a move on Tom, and Jensen going to take back the lead here. So Tom going to fall down the second. But like I said, I don't think Tom's going to go quietly into the night. But if they work together, maybe they can gap Noah Jones, because Noah, at the very end of that run, was about 9 tenths behind. If they can just get a little bit farther back, just maybe they could break the toe and break it a 2-car breakaway at the very least. But kind of finished the point on Lynx. He's now 2 seconds behind Rudy, so a long way to go at the very least to get towed up. But it looks like top 4 in a bubble, and then a 5 to 10 in a bubble as well.
Yeah, I think Lynx will try and close that gap up. It'll be around 1.3, 1.4 seconds, I think, by the end of this lap, if Lynx really gets those softs going in this middle sector, which will be the middle sector that will determine whether he latches onto the back of the ERS train or not at this point. But Jensen took the lead, but basically because he was out of the slipstream range compared to Noah. Noah was 8-9 tenths behind, as you rightfully alluded to. And again, Noah's just struggling for a little bit of pace. You mentioned about his race pace. Qualifying normally better than his race pace. Don't get me wrong, he's doing a phenomenal job there in third, but it just looks like he's lacking in terms of the pace where Tom and Jensen necessarily aren't. And they're both the front two, obviously pulling away now from Noah, and Noah is going to be under significant pressure, obviously from Rudy and behind maybe as well. But coming across the line, we're nearly halfway through this race, by the way, as well. Jensen leads the way, Tom in second. Tom is closing up very rapidly on the back of Jensen. Not going to be close enough. Carsby, though, is on the back of Dara, coming out through camera shot now in towards turn number 2 at Tamburello. Carsby is through, and he's into 7. Nice move that on Dara. And I think Jensen made a slight mistake coming out of Tamburello. And Jensen now in the lead of this race. Tom there in second. Tom really hassling the back, though. And he's got a bit of an AI car in front of him, because that's Daniel's AI just in front of the front runners.
Yeah, kind of shocked that it retired Shender's car when you retired on circuit, so I'm kind of shocked that it didn't retire.
He just left the session, I think.
Yeah, left the session. Fair enough, he didn't actually retire, so that explains why his car is still out on the circuit. So it may give a little bit of a toe to Jensen, but luckily no DRS is really activated here, so should be no harm, no foul. And ghosting on, should be a quick little 1-2 pass here. There goes Tom, and then Noah Jones as well. And, well, they haven't gone around yet, but they will go around here relatively quickly, so no major toe issues here. Lynx, though, kind of the cut back on him as Rudy goes really wide there.
They got put off by the AI.
Yeah, I think it kind of affected his line there. Couldn't really judge where he was going. But I think Tom's going to make a move on Jensen at the very least going into the Tamburano corner. But other than that, though, Lynx really struggling to get back to the toe here on Rudy. It's 1.5, 1.4. I think Steph went a little bit wide, clipped the gravel. But yeah, Lynx going to try to get towed up here, but back to Tom and Jensen. Here comes Tom, going to take the inside. Now Tom retakes the lead.
Yeah, fair stuff from them. Both Aston Martins, by the way, going side by side. Conditions beginning to change as well. Out on track. Dara's down the inside on of Steph. Very late on the brakes. Oh, he completely outmuscles his teammate through Tamburello. Steph will not like that one. And MedTC is now through and he's into 8th. So MedTC, 3 position gain from the former F1 Esports Challengers driver in 8th position. Dara there in 7th. Completely forced off his teammate. Dara, of course, TTG man now, Steph SXT man. I think if they're going to have a word privately, Dara, Steph is probably not going to be as happy as what he was on the back of Dara there, because Steph completely forced off track. In terms of the conditions changing as well out on track, it looks as if it's getting cloudier out on track. Now, this happened in F2, and then it came out sunny in a couple of laps' time, but to me, this is if it's black clouds beginning to build over the circuit. Maybe a threat of rain before the end?
Maybe, but it's got to be strong enough that it can affect the track. Like, I don't think we're going to get full wet. That's obviously not going to happen. I could still see peaks of sun. Yeah, it'd be intermediates, but I just don't know. If it comes, let's say, in 10 laps' time, that's 25. Is it going to soak the track enough that it'd be worth switching off on? Because if that does happen, it may play in the Carlsby's hands and Lynx's hands, because they can go a bit longer than Tom and Jensen at the very least. So it could be something to keep an eye on, but it looks dark, but I just see enough sun that I don't think we're going to see any little threat of rain. But again, you never know with this game. This game throws random curveballs at you when you don't expect it. Look at the Grosso crash, for instance. So let's just take that with a grain of salt and we'll see what happens. But other than that, everyone's kind of trading up here. Noah Jones, I think we kind of took him to the woodshed a little bit because he's kind of holding his own with Jensen and Tom. So he's kind of trying to prove us wrong here in commentary.
Do you know what you said about 30 seconds ago on the sun? Yeah, it's completely gone now, the sun. Oh, there's no sun out on track. It's absolutely cloudy as anything now. Tom leads the way. Jensen second, no one third. This will mean one of two things. Either it's going to stay cloudy for the rest of the race, or there is a threat of rain perhaps in around 10 or 15 minutes. 10 or 15 minutes being about lap 22, 23, 24 sort of region. So, in that case, it might actually be Inters towards the end of the race if it is a threat of rain in this race. But it might not be. The sun might come out, as I say, in TTML F2. We had that, of course, there. But Tom leads the way. Jensen in second. Jensen on the back. Oh, a bit sideways out of Ravata 2. And now on the run down in towards turn number 2 at Tamburello, of course, through the little kink of 1 here. And now look at the ERS. The DRS is now on, and Jensen's going to have a go at Tom to the inside line. And Tom will not defend. Jensen to the inside line. Gets the lead in towards Tamburello. Noah is going to think about possibly having a really good run as MTC is through on Darren towards Tamburello as well. But Jensen now leads the way. Tom in second. Noah's suddenly caught up to the back of these two. So the top two are battling. Noah's now right on the back. Rudy there in fourth. Lynx's tyres now beginning to go off in fifth and sixth. Can they get to the end of the race? I probably don't think they will. So they'll be relying on a pit stop. Or, with those going to set of soft compounded tyres, are they predicting the rain is going to come? That's why they went for softs.
Maybe that could be an interesting call there. If that was the case, though, why not go for a set of mediums to ensure that if you think rain was coming, go mediums to make sure that you can make it to the rain window, because that'd be a lot stronger on the attack here at the very least. But Lynx is definitely caught. I think we kind of bet on the wrong horse here, because Lynx has caught back up to Rudy, Jones, Tom, and Jensen, while Carlsby is really struggling to get that second train up to that top pack, and he may be under threat. Now he invalidates, goes a little bit too wide, and he may be under threat from MedTC soon. So Lynx definitely showing his kind of pace here, showing that maybe why he's a sleeper's chance at being a champion here. But lap 16 here, if the rain is coming, do you think, when's the question, will Jensen and Tom pit? As I think Tom's, no, he's going to get a bit of a toe here. May try to make a move on Jensen around the outside here, and Jensen not going to put up much of a fight, put Tom back into the position, and Jensen the second. Jones gets a good run in the third. But kind of finish my point there. If the rain's coming, which it looks like it's getting cloudier and cloudier, and foggier and foggier,
oh, it's raining! It's raining!
It is!
It's raining. It's very light, but it is raining out on track. So Tom leads the way, Jensen in second, Noah in third, and that call for Lynx and Carlsby to come into the pit lane, set us off. I literally clicked on and thought, yeah, last lap around, if it's going to rain soon. Carlsby and Lynx, looking back on it, have actually proved to be on the best tyres, because they're on a set of softs. The rain, though, is very light at this stage. It's going to take a little while yet to wet the track. So I'm thinking, as I say, lap 21, lap 22, perhaps going to be Inters by then. Tom, though, leads the way. Jensen in second, Noah in third. And that is why Jensen is very sideways out of Varianta Alta and has made a mistake. And now Noah could be now threatening them on the run in towards turn 2 at Tamburello. But Tom leads the way. Jensen second. No wonder Tom and Jensen have been fighting each other, because they think that the rain is coming. The rain now falling out on track. It's getting heavier by the second, and Tom leads the way into lap 19. Still a very short track compared to a very long track like Belgium. It would be wet by now, as MedTC is going side by side with Carlsby, and he's thrown into sixth. The Finn passes the Finn as Chris is retired coming out of Ravata 2.
That's a crash, I believe. It is a
it's
crash. We'll see if, yeah, Daniel here, it's off track, so probably won't trigger anything. I'll see as we cut through Daniel here on angle. Yeah, he's off in the left wall. There's no way that's going to trigger any sort of safety car here. So, again, maybe that's what you want to see. But the question is if you're Tom, Jensen, Jones, whose tire is going to hit the wall first? Is it going to be Lynx's softs, or is it going to be the top four's mediums?
Oh, because Tom spun! Tom's in the wall!
Yes!
Tom's in the wall! Tom is in the wall, out of Aquaman, in towards Aquaman, safety car out on track, and Tom is going to be bouncing his hand off that steering wheel. I've rolled on board with him thinking that the rain is now coming. The rain is certainly falling heavier out on track. That's the only reason I rolled on board with him. And Tom is in the wall, out of Aquaman, i.e. George Russell 2020 around here in Emilia, spun under the safety car. That's exactly what Tom's done. He took too much curb on the outside through Piratella, and he's in the wall. And Jensen now, that is big in terms of the championship, because Jensen now leads. Tom is DNFing out of this race, and Jensen now leads the race. But what do they do now? Safety cars came out at probably the worst point for these guys. They have to surely come for Inters. Soft's going for Mercedes, one of the Mercedes, and Jensen is in. Inters. Jensen in for Inters. Rudy for Softs. Noah for Inters. Lynx for Inters. All the field are in. Daniel's probably ruined his luck and thinking, you know what, I could have been in this race now. But more drivers coming in. Inters, it seems like the way to go. Rudy's gone for a set of Softs. Dara's gone for a set of Inters. Freddie on a set of Inters. In fact, they all are apart from Rudy. And Rudy there in third. thinks it's going to be drier when the safety car comes out. It's the wrong call already, because you can tell by the track it is Inter's it's going to be Inter's by the time the safety car queue comes in.
I don't hate the call by Rudy. He's got to try something different, but yeah, that's unless it tries out the next 2 laps, it's highly unlikely that's going to probably pay out for him. But Tom, just shades of Mika Hakkinen in 2000 or Verstappen in 2021 Baku. It's just pain. You hate to see it. That's just pain. That is pure pain there. And Tom's basically going to be hoping something bad strikes Jensen here, and he can't get any points because that is going to be a full swing the other direction right now. Not what he wanted to see on the home stretch, but still a lot of races left. But that is just a kicking moment, and that is really just going to hurt Tom there, and is probably his pride as well.
Yeah, he will come back a lot stronger, I think, going into the final 5 races of the season, because Tom is a very good driver, and he shouldn't put that past him at all. Rain is quite easy out on track, I've got to be honest. Daniel's AI, by the way, is right in the middle of the field, and I really do not like this when an AI is in the middle of the field, because you've got Chalkers, Fleddy and Steph behind him. He's right in the mid-pack there, in basically 8th position. His AI is going to be there. It's going to be so off-putting for the guys. This is what Codemasters have to think about going on to the new game. They've got to ensure that, obviously, you cannot overtake the car in front of you, but with an AI car and you leave the session, surely there is some point when you've got to realise in multiplayer that you've got to let these guys do. Chalkers, Fleddy, Steph, it's only fair for racing. Daniel's there, AI mode, in 8th position. He's ghost, basically, out on track. It's going to be so off-putting for the guys in behind. And Daniel there in 11th is going to be the man, obviously, that is... Well, he's obviously not even in the session, but you have to feel sorry for Chalkers, Fleddy and Steph, because they can't overtake.
Pitting. The Daniel AI is pitting, so at the very least, it will throw him back. So I think maybe Codemaster's AI is like, all right, we'll just pit him again to get him out of the way. But he was on 10-lap old medium, so maybe he's pitting. Well, actually, we'll see. He's putting on a set of wets, so I think... sorry, intermediates, not wets. I think that just show that maybe Rudy's on the wrong call here.
No, I'll tell you what, I thought he might have came into the pit lane. If he thought it was going to be Inters by the end of this race, the rain is light, but it's at that point in the race where necessarily the track doesn't look as wet as what it could be. There's no spray being kicked off the tyres. Are we at a crossover period between dries and Inters, perhaps, when the safety car comes in? Because if that is the case, it looks a lot heavier, by the way, on the broadcast cam compared to the actual the driver cam. Jensen leads the way, Noah in 2nd, Rudy in 3rd. The only reason why Rudy will be staying out, he's got nothing to lose in this race, but the only reason he'll be staying out if it's going to dry before the end of this race. And I think Rudy's banking on that now. He has to.
He is. It's his only strategy, because if he should have pitted, if he thinks it was going to be wet to the end, he would have pitted last lap and went for tires. If he's made his bet, he's going to lie in it. But it reminds me maybe a bit of Tom when at Belgium a couple of rounds ago in the sprint race, where he decided elected to start on a set of soft tires, and he fell through the field. And by the time the softs came in, it was too late. He was way too far off the pack. So I don't hate the call, but he's got to hope it dries out quick, or he can stay latched. And, well, the safety car's in, so we'll find out shortly here. Questions will be answered. I don't hate the call, but he better hope the track dries up a little bit quickly. That's all I'm going to say.
Looks like the rain's easing, actually, out on track, saying that. Lap 21 out of 32, lap 22 about to begin. Jensen now the virtual Bermalander, he's the virtual safety car. Noah there in 2nd. But I'm looking at the track, running down towards Ravata. There are still little dry patches on the track. That indicates crossover period between Inters and softs. There's hardly any spray. I know they're going at slow speed, but you normally see spray being kicked off. The sun is glaring through on the track as well. That indicates to me it's going to dry out before the end of the race. Rudy, this is his big opportunity now. Is it dry enough for him to get going on those tyres? I don't think it will be sideways at the final corner. Definitely not. And Lynx is already through. As we now get back underway, Jensen leads the way, Noah in 2nd. And now it's 4 wide in the background. Look at this. Med-TC, Dara, Rudy and Carlsbury 4 wide through turn 1. And Dara now's on the outside on the Med-TC, trying to get the move done. Carlsbury is through as well, and he tries to get the move done. Down the inside there's a bit of contact. Rudy has gone so far off track, and there's contact with Chalkers. And Fleddy's at the race as well, perhaps. Fleddy into the back of Chalkers. Rudy, I think, is going to let Chalkers through, perhaps. Here, Steph is through and he's into 7. It's definitely not softs out on track. Rudy had to gamble. He had to gamble for something. He's into the gravel, and it's definitely not softs out on track. And do you know what? Daniel's AI might even have a chance of actually beating him here.
Yeah, I think once Daniel's AI pitted for intermediate tires, it sensed danger. And I don't hate the call, but you better hope the track dries up within the next lap, or else that's going to be curtains for any chance of him winning this race. But Jensen leads the way, Noah second, Lynx up to third. So, again, Lynx making a good recovery drive here at the very least. But, yeah, just a lot of chaos here at the very least. And, yeah, Rudy betted on the wrong horse.
There's no spray, though. I'm looking at the track, and there's no spray being kicked off the cars.
Well, the thing is, yeah, it's still wet, though, but there's no spray. But it could still be a bit of an ice rink, because I don't see much of a dry line. As now Rudy gets through for corner cut, he is definitely struggling. It could just be a situation where there's no spray, but there's just enough water buildup that there's no dry line. So he's just kind of struggling through patches of water and feels like he's skating.
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, he's there in 9th. Is he coming into the pit lane? Is the big question now. Is he going to come into the pits and go in for a set of inters? Yes. By the looks, yeah, he's coming in. In fact, he's actually going to retire the car in the pit lane. Rudy has had enough. Fleddy into the pit lane as well. Daniel's AI is there in 11th. Daniel's AI, by the way, would pick up points if he actually joined the session. But Jensen leads the way. Noah in second, Lynx in third. It has ruined sort of the race in a bit of a way, because Rudy there, obviously soft compounded tires. They were very unintentional, I think, to go on those softs. But he obviously went on those softs, tried to risk it, and he knew it was the wrong call, and it probably ended up digging his own grave, I think, at that point. He's out of the race. It's unfortunate, but yet again, like Tom, he's another driver that will come back much stronger next week, obviously. Jensen, though, leading the way. Noah in second, Lynx in third, and now it looks like the Jensen show all over again.
One of the nice things about that race, it took 2 competitive cars out of this race, so kind of stinks in that front, because I think we would have a good showdown between Jensen, Tom, Rudy, Jones, but with 2 of those 4 cars out, Jensen's kind of just sealing away here. 1.4 is the gap, and yeah, it's just kind of a station. Lynx may catch back and Noah Jones for the end of this thing, but yeah, it's Jensen's race to lose. It's kind of like, again, Baku 2021 with Hamilton Verstappen. If Verstappen crashed out, if Jensen has a Hamilton moment, it may even up the score, but if not, Jensen's going to smooth sail into the distance.
I'm just calculating up the points here, as I do. I think Lynx could be in second by the end of this race. If he finishes in third as there's migrating host, that's Rudy out of the session. We thank him, though, for attending. Jensen, though, leads the way. Noah in second, Lynx in third. Lynx, perhaps, if he doesn't get past Noah Jones and he stays as he is in third, he could be second going into next week. Tom and Rudy are out. They were the 2 nearest rivals ahead of him, both out the race. Lynx is 20 points behind Tom. Tom is out the race. Lynx is a third. He's getting 20 points.
Yeah, that would be enough to tie him with Tom. But the thing is my math is correct. Jensen's going to pull... I don't know who has the fastest lap. Let me confirm that real fast. That is Daniel, surprisingly. So, yeah, that lap's not going to get touched. So,
that'll be Jensen.
So Jensen will get max points, say 31 points. That would extend the gap, because there's 5 going in today between him and Tom. And bearing everything holds, that's going to be 36 points swing. And with 5 rounds left, Jensen, it's going to be hard, because basically Jensen's going to have to finish down the order here. But that's going to put Lynx into it, but that's going to give Tom another race cushion at the very least.
Yeah, definitely so. Red Bull, obviously, on the podium in real life. If you haven't watched the race, I'm not going to ruin it for you, because I already know the result. But let's just say a Red Bull was on the podium and a McLaren was on the podium, and they're first and third at the minute, pretty much in the same positions where they ended off. You can guess the rest, though. I'm not telling you the rest. Jensen leads the way, Noah in second, Lynx in third, and looks more immediately, the MedTC and Dara's going to have a battle. 4th and 5th position out on track. MedTC and Dara have been very fortunate, I think, in this race, but they've driven really, really astute races. They're 4th and 5th, doing a good job. MedTC is certainly coming back to a resemblance of his best, like he showed earlier on in the season, and MedTC finally beginning to find that form. If they get close enough, they could be in with a chance of a podium here, but that's only if MedTC drags Dara along with them, and obviously they gain as a result. And I think, considering the pace advantage that Lynx has got ahead of him, I think MedTC is going to have his work cut out if he does gain.
Yeah, he'll definitely have his work cut out from at the very least here. Lynx, struggling to stay on the back of Jones, so it looked like he was kind of catching, and then he's losing. I think Jones and Lynx are running about the same pace here. Maybe Lynx is just slightly faster, but not enough to really catch. I think everyone's just kind of holding station, at the very least. Only real major battle we have, like you said, is between Med and Drago Smith, and I don't know if Smith's going to have enough toe to get around Med, because he gets good runoff into the corners, but in the straights, he does get kind of trounced. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to note. But I just think everyone's kind of just running about the same lap times. No one's really majorly fast enough to kind of pull. but not majorly fast enough to kind of close up. As now Betsy's actually lost about half a second there to Lynx, so yeah, really struggling in these conditions.
Yeah, struggling in these conditions. Dara gained 0.2 per second just down the straight, so it looks like to me Dara's running more straight line speed than actually downforce around here at Imola, and that is actually playing off to his perspective because there's more straights around here, obviously there's corners in Imola, and Dara doing a fantastic job in 5th position. I believe actually it's his debut as well, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure it's his debut here in TTML F1. I don't recognise him. It's actually he's gone off coming through Piratella, right on board with him. Don't want to go and take his cursor right at the last second. But Dara there in 5th. I believe, as I say, it's his debut. Certainly the Irishman showing a very good pace here. Noah, though, isn't. He's made a mistake coming out of Aqua Minerale, and Lynx is all over the back of him like a hot rash. The rain is getting heavier now out on track as well. Jensen looks like he's controlling the race, but the battle for second is going to brew up. Noah in second, Lynx in third. Lynx again, we interviewed him in Australia and he was not expecting the podium and he was just expecting points tonight. Lynx in third, perhaps going for second on the back of Noah. Noah's done a really good job this race, just hasn't had the race pace compared to Lynx. Lynx is all over the back of him, and Lynx perhaps could be picking up a third podium position in a row.
Yeah, just to confirm your point, I think it is his first race, unless he's had a name change, and that is Black Box. Yeah, that is a new driver here, so this is his debut race. It's a debutant of Darren Smith. He's not doing too bad here at the Irishman in 5th position. And, yeah, had a few moments where you could say maybe with him and Steph and a few others, but definitely holding his own at the very least, and is a good midfield runner here. But Lynx is now caught the back of Noah Jones a little bit here. And it looks like, again, Lynx is a little bit stronger in the corners, Jones a little bit on the straights, so maybe worth noting at the very least, but Jensen is pulling away. But one other thing worth noting, if it gets wet enough for full wets, do you see anyone pitting?
No, I mean, the 6 laps to go, rain is getting heavier. It's not going to be full wets by the end of the race. I don't think it will be. Unless you're Chokers and Fleddy, you could probably pit in and try and gain a little bit of time. There's no way. Nobody's going to be pulling off a Neymar on TTML F2 last season when he absolutely flew through the field in a set of full wets compared to everyone else in a set of inters. Lynx, and then third, just struggling for a little bit of pace now. Through that middle sector was significantly slower coming out of Variante Alta, and on the run down and towards the 2 Ravazzas, he's there in 3rd position. Jensen, though, in a world of his own out in front. I think, as I say, fortunate because of Tom's spinning. Tom, I'm sure, will be very annoyed. He is a very good driver, though, and I know he'll come back next week, probably to try and maybe even win. Noah and Lynx, though, looks like the battle on for 2nd and 3rd, and then there's a whole train now beginning to develop. MedTC, Dara, Carlsbury and Steph, who are 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, and just to finish off actually on Dara, he has joined TTG, but I believe he was a former TRT man, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Oh, cool to hear. I guess that's kind of a cool pedigree there at the very least, come from one team and get promoted to another one, or maybe let go of that one, but who knows? I don't really know his background that well. But yeah, the thing is worth noting is now Fleddy gets another 3, Carlsby, Steph, Chalkers, Fleddy all have pedalies, and it is worth noting that Metisi and Darg are basically fighting for 4th and 5th respectively. They should be okay unless a mistake happens. And yeah, Lynx, Jones, and Jensen. Again, Jensen can kind of just smooth sail here, but if you're Jones and Lynx, you got to be a little bit cautious, because if you do run a little bit too wide in these conditions and ring up a 3, you may end up falling a little bit farther than you wish. So there's a risk-reward here at the very least. How aggressive do you want to take it?
Yeah, definitely so. Jensen leading the way, though. We've got 4 laps to go. Chances of a safety car or VSC now are quite limited because we are approaching the end of this race, and it's getting very dark here in the north of England as well. Jensen leads the way, Noah in 2nd, Lynx in 3rd. Pepsi's just looking out of his window at this point and thinking, what are you on about, James? Of course, we're living on different sides of the world. That's why he's obviously there in America, and obviously it's still daytime over there. But here it is getting very dark. It's very nice outside my window, but it's very nice also outside of Noah's window, which is, of course, his halo on the run down and towards turn number 2. Still holding off Lynx for now. Meant to see Dara, Carlsbury, Steph. They don't look like they're close enough. In terms of the penalties, by the way, 3 seconds pretty much for Carlsbury, Steph and Chokers, 6 seconds for Fleddy. He obviously got caught up in that incident underneath that safety car restart with Rudy. Down there in 9th position, former the new TTG man will be hoping for a better result next week, because I know in other league races he's been a little bit short of form, so Fleddy hopefully might be coming back to his best, certainly, you would imagine, next week and throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely he'll be trying to come back stronger next round here in the land of the rising sun. And like I said, it's a home stretch, so you want to show your strong performance at the very least. With a new game on the horizon, this is going to be the last major league, or, well, league session, you could say, for TTML before the next game drops. So it is a situation where it's kind of setting your F1 2021 season on a note of the whole campaign year, and how you end it could decide how you go into the next season. So it is worth noting, because it looks like Darren gets a little bit squirrely off X there. Could open the door for Cosby, but even if Cosby gets close, that 30 seconds will come into play. But other than that, yeah, Jensen's opened up another second on Noah Jones. Lynx is just, he's getting close and then losing time, and it looks like he can't really get close enough to really make anything happen. And like I said, it's just a bit of a train for me. No one is getting close enough to really make anything happen. They get close, and they either make a mistake, or they make a slight mistake, and they lose time, and then they fall back within range. So it's just kind of a cat-and-mouse game. Unless someone makes a mistake, I think this is how it's going to finish out.
Yeah, I think there's just going to be an exploitation, maybe, from somebody making a mistake. Dava was very close to making one coming through Tamburello there. Lost a bit of time on ATC, lost about 3/10 per second. It doesn't seem like much, but 3/10 per second costs you the slipstream and costs you the run, obviously, at the guy ahead. In these conditions, it's so difficult to overtake, and that is why, obviously, we're seeing ATC, Dava, Carlsbury, Steph, all forming a bit of a train. And to be honest, though, it looks like TTC is beginning to find a bit of pace, because 1.5 seconds down the gap, he slowly but surely caught Lynx around this lap time around, and I'm not sure if Lynx made a mistake at the opening of this lap, but TTC in 4th, doing a good job, 1.6 seconds off. I still wouldn't rule him out for a potential podium if one of these two in front of him makes a mistake.
Yep, I think definitely one mistake could rule it out there, so let's not count him out yet, but again, a mistake would have to be made for that to happen, but again, Draga's keeping TTC honest, so it is definitely, they could think of those, if they fight, it could open the door for someone else, so again, risk reward, but obviously Draga does not want to finish 5th if he can get the 4th, so the race certainly won't allow that to happen. But coming to 2 to go is, he gets another squirrely off exit there. He's really struggling to put the power down off the last corner, and it is making things. I think Cosby's actually made a mistake as well, because he's now 1.5 down, and Steph's on the back.
Steph is on the back of him. Cosby there in 6th, Steph there in 7th. Steph has run out of battery though, so he's not going to get this move done in towards Tamburello. And actually, it's very rare. You normally see drivers using up their battery in the wet, and Steph has done that. Steph is using up at every single opportunity we normally see. Obviously, in these wet conditions, you'd be saving up more ERS than actually using it. And Steph, at every single opportunity, is trying to use up his ERS, literally out of every single corner. Not really many drivers in TTML F1 do that. I think Steph might be the only one, but he's trying to gain, obviously, on the back of Carlsbury. Carlsbury there in 6th, 30% of ERS, and Steph is using up, yes, to gain, but to what effect has Dara now picked up a penalty?
Yeah, that's going to put any chance of getting 4th out the window, but kind of looking at the telemetries, Jens is at 35, Jones is at 31, Lynx is at 9, Steph makes a move, or made a mistake, I should say.
Big mistake, yep.
Yeah, made a mistake. But yeah, looking at telemetry so fast, everyone is at about 30 or less, so everyone's kind of using under these conditions, not really saving much, they're just kind of burning it away. They want to use as much as they can. As we're about to start the final lap of this race, and unless divine intervention happens, this is Jensen's race to lose.
This is Jensen's race to lose, and it's looked like many of his race wins so far this season. Completely dominant, and has been at the top end of the standings. Of course, very fortunate, I've got to say, with Tom spinning in front of him about halfway through the race. Then the safety car came out, worked to his advantage, went on the inters, went to the correct strategy, and he's absolutely excelled himself once again here, Jensen, with still half a lap to go. There are blue flags in front of him, apparently. Looks like there's blue flags, unless there's an AI car in the way in this middle of the pack. Yeah, it's Daniel, that's what the blue flags are out there for. Not sure why he's still there going around in 10th. But if Daniel didn't obviously quit after his mistake, he would have been in P10. He could easily join the session and just pick up the points now, but obviously that probably won't be the case, as Daniel's probably doing better things at this point. Jensen, though, leads the way. Noah in second, coming to Aqua Minerali for the final time, and Jensen hopefully just needs to stay within the white lines to win this. If he picks up 3 seconds, I think it's still going to be enough, though, for him to win this race, as Jensen now comes through Variante Alta for the final time. We're on board with him on the run down and towards both Ravatas! Sideways out of Aqua Minerali, out of Variante Alta, and he's just lost a bit of time there, but sideways, maybe drifting for the cameras, maybe showing off there from Jensen, coming through the final couple of corners, now through Rata 2. It has been a really consummate drive once again from Jensen. He is going to take the reign in a rain-sodden Imola. Jensen takes another win and extends his championship lead. Noah in second, Lynx will finish in third, and then it's MedTC in fourth. Carsby having a drag race with Darrett to the line, they finish 5th and 6th. Steph there in 7th, and remain as they are. We just wait on Chalkers and Fleddy now finishing out on track. Daniels, they are got overtook by everyone and got put a lap on them. Chalkers and Fleddy will finish, though, hopefully in 8th and 9th, and hopefully all peacefully well. But Jensen, in the end, took the win. Noah in 2nd, Lynx in 3rd. And I think, for the first time this season, we've got an all-British top 3.
Yeah, I think that is correct. I think that is an all-British top 3, so congrats to the Brits here. One day an American will get on the field and definitely trounce the divisions, but right now, that's why we fought the war. But anyway, yeah, top 3 for the British here. Carlsby's now left the session, but yeah, we're just waiting on, I guess, Fleddy to finish off here. Once he crosses the line, that will cement the results, and there he goes.
There we are indeed. Fleddy finishes in P9. Great result from Jensen's perspective, though. Extends his championship lead. Will he get driver of the day? No, Lynx gets driver of the day. Arguably, I think he definitely deserves driver of the day off his result because he drove such a really good race and another podium this season. Lynx has came alive, I think, this season. Jensen, though, playing to the fans at the top step of the podium. The Red Bull takes yet another win, and the Brit extends his championship lead to, I believe, it'll be 20 points at least, because because Rudy and Tom didn't pick up any points. Lynx obviously gained 20 points as a result for finishing 3rd, so that now means Jensen's got a 20-point gap compared to when he came in tonight. He had a 4-point gap. Jensen just knows how to win races, and it's as simple as that. And Jensen takes the race win here in Imola, when eventually the grid order loads, and I hope it does load. Yes, it does. Jensen takes the win.
Good.
Noah in
Yeah,
second.
loaded on my end.
Yeah, Jensen takes the win. Noah in second. Lynx there in 3rd, 13th on the grid, and was quicker than everyone else actually ahead of him, bar Jensen. So really good pace from Lynx there in 3rd. Matey C in 4th. Darragh in 5th. Carlsbury in 6th. Steph in 7th. Chalkers getting, I think, one of his first points of the season in 8th. Fleddy in 9th. Daniel's AI, of course, will not pick up that fastest lap. It'll go to Jensen, obviously, for taking the race win. His AI, though, still finishes in 10th and 2 laps down from everyone else. Rudy in 11th. Tom, Chris, Ewan, Grosso, and Chender. All 6 of those drivers were out of the race at various points. But Jensen takes the win. Noah 2nd. Lynx in 3rd. Shall we try and get the top 3 in?
Oh yeah, I already added them to the party. They'll join when they're ready.
There we
There's
are.
Jensen. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm on the ball here.
You're on the ball. You're on the ball. I always ask that, and then drivers necessarily don't join the party. But I think we might get a full complement tonight for interviews. So we'll go through them in race order when they finish, and that of course means Jensen taking another race win here in Imola. And I've got to say that was one of the more fortunate race wins of the season, because Tom obviously spun in front of you. First reaction, though, obviously, for the race win, you've got to be feeling sorry for Tom because he was driving such a good race at that point.
Yeah, he was doing so well there. It was just misfortune with the deteriorating weather. And of course, it became quite an easy point to lose the car, especially on the dry tyres. But yeah, it was unfortunate for him because he was so close to being a championship. But I think it gets my fortune back from Australia, where I lost out, but I gained back even more, so I don't know what to say about it, but I'm pretty sure he'll come back anyways. But yeah, happy to finally win a race again in TTML after the break week. Yeah, wanted to get something again and make up for what was a disaster in Melbourne.
Yeah, it was a disaster in Melbourne. Obviously, that's now completely at the back of your mind. You took the race win here in Imola. Talk us through that race, because it was a race of changeable conditions. You went for that set of inters going into the safety car, as did the majority of the field. Then, obviously, you probably looked behind and thought, why is Rudy on a set of soft compounded tyres? You must have been quite shocked at that fact.
Yeah, I thought I was confused there because I'm pretty sure it was going to take a lot longer for it to the track to dry out, and it was already noticeably getting wetter, so it was a very odd choice in the end that kind of ruined this race. I don't know why he retired in the pits as well, because you get points for literally every position. He still could have picked up like 9 points or so from that, which is a bit weird, but yeah, in the end, yeah, like you said, a bit lucky again, but we've got to take those.
Yep, got to take those indeed. Pepsi, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
I got 2. First off, we'll talk about next week's round here. It's going to be into the land of the rising sun, Suzuka's. How do you feel with Suzuka being next on the calendar?
I'd say it's one of my favourite tracks to drive. Luck on this game hasn't necessarily been the greatest, but yeah, I feel got good pace around there anyway, so it'll be another good one, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. And last question I do have is we are on the home stretch here with the last couple rounds left. So what is your mindset coming around the last break, around the home stretch? How do you feel with the last couple of rounds here in the calendar? And do you think you can close this out?
If he's still there.
If he's still there. Hello.
Has he gone?
I don't know. It's at the party. He's still here in the party.
Yep.
Oh!
Sorry. Something went on there. Go on,
I guess this question is, home stretch, the last of the season here on the home stretch here, is anything going to change your driving style, or is it going to be smooth sailing ahead to try to clinch this championship?
Just gonna drive fast. That's it.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Maybe smoother at the end, but I think, yeah, for now, just carry on driving how I am. Which is usually smooth anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to change too much there, and if I think that dog in the background is in the go, I think, unless James got something else to add.
No, that is it
Yeah,
for me. I will go and let Jensen deal with his dog, I think, at this point. Go and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, cheers for the commentary as always.
You are very welcome indeed. And now we'll talk to the man who finished in P2, and I believe it's his first podium for a few races here in TTML. It's Noah Jones. And Noah, great drive from you in perspective. We said in qualifying that you're normally very quick in qualifying. That translated today into the race pace. You must be happy with P2. Always a good one indeed. Talk us through that race though, because obviously you again were on that set of intermediate compounded tyres behind Jensen. Did you feel at any point on the race that you would actually try and challenge Jensen for the race win, or were you just trying to consummate that second position? Yeah, still, as I say, best result I think of the season by an absolute mile, because you're normally DNF in most of the races. And obviously looking ahead to the rest of the season, that must fill you with a lot of confidence now you've got a podium under your belt. Yeah, that's good to hear. Pepsi, any questions?
I do got two, but first I do want to point out that Tom thinks you're... Tom, according to Tom, Noah, your voice is so ice cold. So I just thought I'd let you know that from the chat in question. But anyway, I guess first question would be, again, with Japan next week, how do you feel about Suzuka in this game? Mm-hmm. And I guess my second question is, I'll throw the same one I did to Jensen to you. With just being on the home stretch here, how do you feel with the last couple rounds here? And do you think you can maybe get possibly a win in these last couple rounds here? Fair enough, fair enough. James, do you want anything else to add?
Nothing else from me. Go and enjoy your evening, Noah. Very welcome indeed. We'll now talk to the man who finished in P3, yet another podium this season for IFL Lynx. And Lynx, you said in Australia that you were only thinking about picking up points. Here you are, another podium. Have you turned a corner in terms of your performances? Because it seems like you have been really competitive now in all the races.
I mean, this race was just mad. I think it was probably one of the best races I've ever driven. And I went from being into the wall to getting on the podium. It was really fun, you know, cutting through the field. And obviously that rain came to spice it up even more. So yeah, it was a proper good one. I feel like my pace has improved over these past months, you know, turning off the line, learning every track in the wet, the dry, and all that. So yeah, I think the pace has improved, and hopefully this race showed it.
Race definitely sure. As I say, I think you've turned a corner. The last three races that you've done, you've turned a corner definitely in your performances. Obviously, talk us through that race, because you ended up getting involved in the collision, I think, up and down the field. You were P8, P9, I think, at one point, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously P13 on the grid up to P3. Still, talk us through that race, because it was still a really good drive.
Yeah, no, that race was, it was great. As I say, it was probably my best drive so far in this game, I think, in terms of pace and just IQ in the race. But yeah, me and Grosso were just side by side coming out of like the chicane, and I'm not sure if he had a little moment on the curb or he lost the rear or anything. But yeah, he hit into me and then we both went into the wall. I don't know how I didn't DNF there because my right tyre like proper hit it. So yeah, but obviously I had no front wing. So then obviously the safety car came out, so that was that was super lucky. And then we just strapped the softs on because I knew the rain was coming, and then I just sent it. I just passed everyone I could, tried to get in the best position, and then it was a little bit tough after I got through the mid guys. I had to proper push up to the top 4, which I did, and then obviously Tom crashed, which is unfortunate because it was probably going to be a nice little battle between us. And then yeah, obviously the rain came, really put the softs on, which was definitely a mistake from him. Definitely, there's no way he would have put that on. It was definitely like he didn't switch it to inters. So obviously then that was another position off the line. And then I felt like me and Noah had pretty equal pace, but then I gave up my second warning like quite close to the end, so I was like, nah, I'll just back off now, just bring it home. And then yeah, it got me a P3. So from 13th to crash into P3 is a pretty good result at a track. It's one of my weaker tracks, so yeah, it was an awesome race.
Yeah, awesome race indeed. Obviously, that incident with Grosso, I said in commentary I thought he got caught on the curb on the inside because I was on board with him, and it just looked like he got interlocked in wheels and obviously got forced in the wall, so I'm sure the stewards will look at that. In terms of Grosso, by the way, just to give an update on obviously what I said at the start of the stream and the start of qualifying, it turns out OP have released a statement about Grosso. It turns out that he is Lars Kramer, and because Lars is banned here in TTML, that is why he has been immediately kicked out the league with no message given or anything like that. And I think, honestly, because he's a banned driver here, he is now out of the race for TTML F1 and for the rest of the season. So just to clarify on that, I have done the honours already in kicking him out, so that is just a brief update on that. Pepsi, I am coming across to you. Any questions?
Oh, that was a bit of a weird turn there at the very least. One thing I just do want to correct the record on as well is Tom didn't think Noah's voice was ice cold. It was because he couldn't hear him, because I think he didn't share his voice. So yeah, none of Noah Jones' voice kind of picked up there. So sorry to the viewers on the YouTube and when the watches is back. No one's going to be subtitling that, so sadly it will just be a mystery what he said. But anyway, I guess the question to go back to Links now. First one will be again with Suzuka next week. How do you feel with Suzuka? And do you think you got a strong performance in either on that track?
I do like Japan. It's definitely one of the best tracks on F1. The sector one's just amazing, and there's the whole track super flowing. So, and it's a track I've got pretty good pace at too. So yeah, I'm hoping to be proper competitive there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. And I do have one more question, and it's the same that I asked the previous two. With us on the home stretch, the last couple rounds, you've really found a form, got podium on podium. Do you think you can maybe win a race in these last couple rounds on the home stretch?
I mean, that's the plan, but having Jensen and Tom and Rudy doesn't make it easy. They're always up there and they're super fast. If a day like this happens again, but this time Jensen has a little issue, maybe. But obviously, I want to try and beat him on pure pace and without any incidents, but that's going to be super tough, but I'll try. Probably the best place for me to do that's probably in Brazil. It's probably my strongest track left, so we'll see.
Look on the bright side. Olivia Pans won that race in '94 at Monaco, and all pandemonium broke loose, and it still counted as a win. A win's a win, regardless of how it comes. But I share your sentiment at the very least. James, you got anything else like that?
Nothing else from me. Links, go and enjoy your evening.
Yep, thanks. I'm going to watch this back and see all of it.
You're very welcome indeed. I'm sure you'll enjoy watching it back later on as well. And that rounds us off, of course, the top 3 interviews. Thank you to Jensen, to Links, and to Noah for the interviews. Before I go into the Driver of the Day vote and everything, just to read out about that statement from Outplayed Racing regarding Grosso, regarding Lars. We at Outplayed Racing deeply apologise for the misconvenience regarding the latest conflict with OP Grosso. As a team aspiring to be the best in the scene, we blindly signed a young talented driver while only looking for success. The recruiting process for talented academy drivers will be reviewed. After a lot of research and discussion, we've officially released Ricardo Grosso, aka Lars Kramer. We do not condone any of the actions Lars has done, and all actions do not present our team in this way. And we also remember that Grosso has never officially been a driver and therefore has had no contract with Outplayed Racing. The driver will no longer be part of their academy team. So just to confirm on that, OP releasing that statement in the last 10 minutes or so about Lars Kramer, and because, as I've already alluded to, he is a banned driver here, I thought probably be best that we get more facts, and obviously I think timely that obviously that announcement has came out. We now know who he is and what he's all about, and obviously because he's a banned driver here, that's why we have kicked him out the league as a result and because of his actions. But Pepsi, after that long-winded statement, who is your driver of the day?
You know, it's a coin flip between Lynx, who came from 13th to 3rd, and Jensen, who just drove pretty much a good race there and won it. You know what? I'm going to give the nod to Jensen. I think Jensen deserves a driver of the day. At least give him one at the very least.
Yeah, definitely so. I think Lynx, to be honest, deserves drive of the day from my perspective. Certainly really good recovery drive, given that he had an instant with Grosser, and Grosser obviously flipped his car completely 360. Lynx, obviously, for me, gets driver of the day. Jensen, I think, definitely deserves it. So I think we're a bit torn between our driver of the day to say anything else. But obviously, as Pepsi has already alluded to, it is Japan next week. Suzuka, a track and for trials and tribulations, and certainly a track for getting caught on the curbs, and that I think is going to be the order of the day next week.
That S section is going to probably be a little bit of a casualty moment. It's a circuit, it's a flow. You're going to get it right or you're going to get it wrong, and I think it'll be quite interesting to see at the very least and be a little bit of a challenge.
It will be definitely a challenge. That S section is going to catch a lot of people out, and I mean a lot of people. So don't be surprised if it turns like what it did tonight into a bit of a war of attrition, and we see some of the guys at the top end of the field struggle. Maybe even Jensen struggling for once, dare I say it, and he's not going to. He's probably going to have me after the stream's ended because of that.
I think Tom's got his voodoo doll out already trying to poke it to make sure that happens.
I think, honestly, Tom might win next week. I said he's got a really good chance this week, but obviously it wasn't come to pass, and it looked like to me he got caught on the outside curb and he just basically slipped the car around through Piratella. But anyways, that ends off the stream very nicely. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, of course, you can like, comment, subscribe, and tick that notification bell, of course, if you're new on YouTube, when this video will be getting uploaded. But here on Twitch, you can also follow me, you can subscribe as well, 20% off as well, and you can subscribe, I believe, for that 20% off via Amazon Prime. So if you've got an Amazon Prime account, you can do that, and subscribe, of course, to get 20% off on the following here on TTML. That is it from us, though. We'll be back next week in Japan. More action to come throughout the week as well, including the return of EML here on the Twitch channel next Wednesday. But for myself and from Pepsi, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.